on potentially commercializable renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies. Because we try to do, the university, we are doing research and development, like university research, but the state wants us to drive it for more commercializable. So you should be commercialized whatever the renewable energy research we are going to do.
Я вот спрашиваю, нужен ли перевод лекции? Нужен перевод? В принципе, если первые две лекции были больше о исследованиях, которыми они занимаются более детально, рассказывали, то сегодня Гамини хочет рассказать о том, чем они в принципе занимаются в университете Луисвилля и в центре по исследованию возобновляемых источников энергии в очень общих чертах. То есть их главная задача – это найти те возобновляемые и возобновляемые источники энергии, которые потенциально можно коммерциализировать и производить в больших масштабах.
So, one important thing is Kentucky, the state Kentucky. That's a coal state. So, they produce a lot of coal, so it's not the renewable source. So, it's not very easy to work on something against coal. So, but state still support us to do renewable energy. So, the vision for us is enable economic transformation and energy independence through clean energy. So, this we cannot completely ignore coal. So, still we can do clean coal. So, it's not really clean coal, but we try to do more renewable energy and energy efficiency research.
В штат Кентукки живет за счет того, что они добывают очень много угля, и это очень грязное производство. И одна из целей – это создать, трансформировать существующую ситуацию в экономике и создать энергетическую независимость через более чистые источники энергии в штате, в регионе и во всемирном обществе.
So there are 4 goals we laid out here. So first goal is to expand research and development in strategic energy research. So I'm going to talk about what kind of energy teams we have. So next slide. So second goal is broaden industry and entrepreneurial community partnership. That's very important. If you want to commercialize something, you have to involve industry, right? And also some entrepreneurs. So we have to invite entrepreneurs to the center and work with them to with some partnership. And most important thing is educate students in materials and energy science, because all the renewable energy is based on your material. You have to have the right material to do the research. So that means you have to educate students like you. So you have to get good education on materials and energy science. So that's one of our goals, to educate students on that one. And another important thing is engage the community. All state people we have to involve in the center. So give some workshops, and we always have like bring high school students to the center and train them and do some workshops and some exhibitions, and also even the general population. So we just give some very general education for community. That's very important, right? To involve the community. Also, we have some neighboring industries, so we have to engage all these communities in the center.
Четыре основные задачи, которые ставит перед собой фонд исследования возобновляемых источников энергии, это развивать это направление и те исследования, которые у них сейчас проводятся, исследовать эту тему, как можно создать возобновляемые источники энергии как ресурсы. Второе, это поставить это на общее производство и сделать межотраслевые исследования внутри развития этого промышленного масштаба. Третья цель, третья задача – это учить студентов этой науки, то есть по материалам и энергии, и инженерии, то есть создавать новые пути коммерциализации и индустриализации этого производства. И четвертое – знакомить общество, вовлекать общество в всю эту деятельность, то есть учеников старшей школы, ходить на экскурсии, рассказывать, вовлекать больше общества, чтобы это стало более популярным.
Okay, so like I said, there are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 energy themes. So I just blocked this one. In my first talk, I talked about energy storage. If you remember, we talked about the battery technology, supercapacitors. So I'm not going to talk about this one because we already talked in the very first talk. So today I am going to briefly describe all other energy themes. So first one is actually this one involves all these because like I said, advanced energy materials. So materials is the key for any of these success of any of these themes. First one is the solar fuels. So this means use solar energy to produce hydrogen or some other useful fuels, and also use solar energy to produce CO2, carbon dioxide. So we know carbon dioxide is a problem, right? So we need to how do you tackle the carbon problem. So already we have excess of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So there are ways of reducing carbon dioxide by using these photoelectrochemical techniques. You can convert carbon dioxide into useful chemicals. So you have a lot of these organic chemicals you use in your lab. We can convert CO2 into those chemicals, but using some solar energy like photoelectrochemical and electrochemical techniques. And we also use some solar cells and some photoelectrodes, so electrocatalysis, vapor photolysis, and different illuminations means sunlight. So this one theme here, it's all solar based research. Solar cells, CO2 reduction, hydrogen production, and all those things. Second area is biomass and biofuels. So we have a lot of bio refineries. So also, most our research are based on this is C5 sugar. So like cyclic 5 carbon sugars. So we use that one to produce some. I'm going to talk about that later. Then also use biomass to produce power. So like mostly like from waste bioproducts. So I talk about like this from distilleries and some other lignocellulose feedstocks from trees and wood. So all these feedstocks you can synthesize some biofuels. So when hydrogen generation from biomass, another interesting. This is another thing. Last one is energy efficiency. So this involves mostly the power conversion systems like direct to direct conversion or alternative to direct power systems for integrating renewable energy for national grid. So this all like we can call grid-based energy conversion, low cost lighting, like light empty diodes and those kind. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4 areas, but they all are fueled by advanced energy material. So they all require some property, so this material should have those properties. But how do we find those materials? That's very difficult thing to do, right? That's why we do very intensive research on accelerated material discovery. So how do you do that? You have to use some kind of informatics, driven modeling and combinatorial synthesis methods. So if you have like A, B, C, D elements, how do you combine them? AB or AC, ABC, all these combinatorial methods you have to use to find the right properties. So develop fundamental insight into energy. Then we use a lot of microscopy, spectroscopy to study these new materials. So most important thing is, most of the time you can make materials in small quantities in the lab. But if you want to make large applications, you cannot use it, right? You have to make it in large quantity. That's very difficult. So this is very important thing to make the scalable manufacturing of nanomaterial. You should be able to make materials in kilogram quantities. For example, if I make nanomaterials, so most of people in the lab, they can make micrograms. So that has very good properties. But if you want to use it, that's not enough, right? You need kilograms. So that's how to do that. So that's very difficult. This is very important, the scalable manufacturing of nanomaterials. Another thing is this large single crystal growth. So if you remember, you can make large silicon crystals, right? Everybody has silicon crystals, right? So very nice wafers. So then germanium. So you can make, but there are materials like gallium nitride, silicon carbide. So these are very nice materials, but people cannot make large wafers. So there are a lot of, we are trying to do a lot of research to make large single crystal growth of important material. Mostly like things like these ones. Gallium nitride, silicon carbide, indium nitride. These, we don't have no large area crystals. So, but silicon, germanium, gallium arsenide, you have these things. We are trying to do some research to make these large size crystals. That's another.
Так, мы знаем 5 тем, которые исследуют в концерте. Первая самая большая включает остальные 4. То есть это создание новых высокотехнологичных материалов, которые будут иметь те свойства, которые... Первая тема – это солнечные материалы, которые позволят нам уменьшить количество углекислого газа в атмосфере с помощью хода электрохимической реакции, перевести сеть углеродов в более интересно используемые нами в лабораторных условиях материалы с какими-то элементами. Так, новые виды электрокатализаторов, новые, более эффективные фотоэлектроды. Вот то, на чем мы работаем в этой теме. Следующая тема – это биомасса и биотопливо. Создание таких углеродных сахаров, замещение огненной промышленности более современными и возобновляемыми источниками энергии. Использовать биомассу как для создания энергии. И использование целлюлозосодержащих материалов, чтобы создавать биотопливо, то есть дерево, разработанное на бумагу. Третья тема, которая четвертая тема среди 5, на первой лекции вы уже рассказывали о сублимационной батарейке, суперконденсаторы, суфильные батарейки и так далее. Сюда там уже рассказывали. В первой лекции сегодня мы не выступили. Сегодня мы расскажем коротко о этих 4. DC-DC и современного восприемнику и более хорошие инженерные схемы, которые используются в промышленности. Но ведь это все использует более новые аналитические материалы. И вот чем занимается центр в том числе, это они изобретают новый материал. Как они это делают? Они это делают с помощью компьютерного моделирования и комбинаторики. То есть они имеют несколько элементов, то есть как мы рассказывали, ABCD. Как они их могут совместить так, чтобы получились новые, нужные им свойства. Потом уже это вещество делать в подобных условиях и пытаясь исследовать одной из этих тем. И также у нас сказано о том, что они пытаются вырастить большие кристаллы из некоторых методов, как галлий натрий, кремний углерод и натрий, потому что, например, на кремнии кристалл у нас же есть большие, мы можем использовать. Эти элементы имеют тоже очень интересные свойства, мы бы хотели иметь кристалл больших размеров. Но мы пока не имеем таких технологий, чтобы это делать.
So we have team leaders for each of these areas. So I am the team leader for this energy storage. So that's why my talk was on this one, first one. So I am not expert in other four, but I am involved in all four. So I am trying to give some idea about each field. Okay, so first I'll talk about the biomass, bioproducts. So I'm involved in this project. So I hope everybody is familiar with the lignocellulosic biomass, mostly coming from like any tree or any biomass. So typically if you take biomass, this is what you have. You have cellulose, right? So that's this here, this large inside core is the cellulose. So then you have this kind of branched polymers of what's called the hemicellulose. So then they all are kept together by this branched polymer called lignin. So that these are basically what we have what is called the lignocellulosic biomass. You have cellulose, cellulose, the small fibers here. So then you have the lignin. So here I have the what is hemicellulose? Basically polysaccharides of xylose and glucose. These are linear molecules. So mannose, all these galactose, arabinose, all these sugars and acids. So that's what hemicellulose is made of. Cellulose, the middle part is mostly polysaccharides and glucose. So they all are linear molecules. So they are not aromatic molecules. Lignin, so these are basically branched phenolic polymers. So this is simple polymer. Just to give some idea.
Они создают биомассу, которую далее используют из целлюлозы, которая у нас все знаете, находится в периоде. Структура этого вещества такая, то есть у нас есть целлюлоза, она в сути имеет состоит в основном из полисахаров и глюкозы. Далее у нас идет правильно национальный хемицеллюлоза, которая охватывает целлюлозную структуру, она состоит из полисахаров глюкозы, минозы и некоторых и далее эти структуры соединены еще с помощью лингвина. Он состоит из полимера, и они с помощью этого лингвина они соединяют все эти целлюлозы и хемицеллюлозы в много большое.
So then usually we start with this material and then we can make bioproducts. We can make things like gasoline, kind of like diesel, and some bioproducts using these materials. So how do you do the biomass production from those cellulosic material? So the whole idea is biomass to bioproduct. So this this is agricultural biomass we are talking about, like trees and grass, switchgrass, those are agricultural biomass to biofuels and biochemicals. So you can turn into this agricultural biomass into biofuels or biochemicals. So there's a big interest on these biofuels. So very few products on the market though. So primary issue is the only reason why we cannot do that one is that it's too expensive to make. So our whole idea is to process them, develop and integrate it into this biofuels with reduced cost. That's the whole idea. So in the lab, people are doing all these things, but in the market, still is not there because of the cost. So our research is to reduce the cost to convert this biomass into biofuels.
Очень мне заниматься, это они пытаются в первую очередь снизить стоимость биотопа, который сейчас есть. То есть они берут биомассу, то есть это те же самые листья, трава, деревья, прихватывают их биотоплива или химикаты. Но в этом отрасли очень большая перспектива развития, потому что если сделать исследование, она может принести колоссальные выгоды. Очень немного продуктов, которые есть на рынке, которые пользуются людьми. Но самая большая проблема – это в цене. Недостаточно даже источников потребления. Вот их лаборатория занимается тем, что они пытаются уменьшить, развивая эту отрасль, уменьшить стоимость этих продуктов.
So this is the conversion process here. If you consider the biomass cost, so then it's mostly what is the cost for the biomass. You have to bring it from somewhere. So if I want to bring like switchgrass or some other trees, so we need to sometimes pay money for sourcing. Then you have to ship it, so you have to bring by some trucks or something. Then once you bring it here, you have to store. Sometimes storage you have to pay for that. Then composition, sometimes they are mixed with other things. You have to sort it out. So they all are costly. So you cannot just get what you like to have. So you have to do some processing. So that means choice of biomass is a key. What kind of biomass you need to use? Either you need to use some special kind of tree or grass or use corn. So anything, so that depends on your choice. So then extraction costs. So there are a lot of extractions going on, right? So how to extract your C5 sugars and all these things. So that also very costly. So once you extract, there are some waste products. You need to dispose it. So disposal also not easy thing to do. It also costs money. So the extraction also important because you have to change the process conditions depending on the source material. Then each material will give different yield. Because some materials will give large products, some material will give very small products. So that you have to work out the yield and also the selectivity with the what kind of material you are actually getting. So that means, so we need to have another added value added co-products coming from extraction. Another cost coming from the isolation cost. So once you extract, you need to purify and concentrate them, right? So typically after extraction, so your extract is not very pure. So you have to do some purification. You have to filter them and do the chromatography and do all these kind of things. So then also the product you have to concentrate, like evaporate it and make the final concentrated product. So that gives you some yield problems and some side reaction when you do the purification and concentration. That's another cost. So that means everything will add up to this final conversion to it's not very cheap thing to do. That's why we have to be very careful about how you do that one. But one good thing is we know the paper industry. So the pulp, so they also start with the biomaterial, right? So like grass. So, but we know they make pulp and make this nice paper we use. So that's a very successful industry, the paper industry. So that means they do all these things to make this paper. So if they can do very successfully, so we believe we can do, because from them after this one they directly go to make pulp, right? The paper. We just basically press it and extrude it, so they make the papers. So we are trying to go after this one, we are going to make the biofuel. So this is a hope. The paper industry is doing good. That means we are not really wasting our time.
То есть чего складывается такая большая цена получения биотопа? Первое, что нам нужно, это найти источник биотопа, то есть где мы будем собирать наш разводы, или возможности на какие-то слова, которые будем перерабатывать, где мы будем собирать. Второе, это транспортировка. Третье, это хранение, то есть мы же, если мы не используем все сразу, нужно где-то хранить, чтобы это не портилось. Соответственно, мы должны заплатить за хранение тоже. Дальше какая-то обработка. Мы собираем материалы, там могут быть мусор различный, то, что нам не используем. Нам нужна обработка, чистки. Вот. Решение всего этого является выбор биомассы, то есть выбор того, что мы будем обрабатывать. В чем меньше всего проблем по нахождению, транспортировке, хранению и обработке. Следующий пункт – это обработка своего материала. То есть это снова отсеивание того, что нам нужно, скорее именно тех элементов, которые нам нужны. Может, это был сахар, может, что-то другое. То, что нам нужно из этого материала. Далее, для этого нам, возможно, потребуются какие-то определенные условия, за которые нам тоже нужно будет платить. Вопрос выработки, то есть сколько данных биомассы нам даст выработки. Разные виды биомассы могут дать нам разные выработки по килограмму веса. Нам нужно об этом тоже задуматься. И отбор, обработка, то есть всех перемесей подобных вещей. Следующее пункт, это когда мы его делаем абсолютно чистым и разбираемся на нужной нам концентрации. Это снова этап подготовки как раз на некую часть у нас процесса. Снова у нас идет очистка, и снова у нас будут какие-то специальные реакции, которые нужны будут для этого вида. Ну, и дальше уже у нас идет определенный продукт, который будет использован. Мы знаем, что несмотря на все эти проблемы, бумажная промышленность развивается, она достаточно успешна, но это люди делают деньги. Поэтому мы думаем о том, что вполне возможно, с другой биомассой мы сможем тоже делать успешный бизнес.
Professor,
Yes.
one question.
Yeah.
Do you have some value for compare cost, for example, gas line or biomass? 1 kilogram, for example?
Yeah, I have the numbers, so I cannot remember. We already made in different way using catalysis. So this one we are still working on. So we made what is called the jet fuel, starting from waste fat. So like if you go to McDonald's, so they have French fries. So when they fry the French fries, that oil is a waste product, right? So we just they actually give us free. They want to.
It's free.
So that means this is come free in that case. So some of the things we are doing right now, so we get this bio free. So I'm going to talk later. Also, in the first talk I talked about we have a lot of distillery companies in Louisville. So when they brew alcohol, so the waste product, so they give to us free. This cost is completely free. So still we haven't, we are just starting to do this part. But right now what we are doing is starting from here. So this is very cheap for us. So this is going to be the problem. Right now our cost coming only from here to here. So that is not very expensive.
But maybe you need prepare fuel, no?
What's that? No,
You need prepare.
Yes, fuel, yes, yeah.
Okay.
So, but,
I think
still,
it's not cheaper, right?
No, it's, yeah, we don't know about this one. From here to here, it's very cheap. Yeah. Because the thing is, we can make jet fuel is very expensive. So it's what you use it in the airplane, the fuel. So we can make air fuel, jet fuel in this way. But still we haven't done very large. So we can make, we start with the McDonald's fat oil. Maybe they give us like something like this big jar. So at the end when we purify, we can make maybe a couple of liters of jet fuel.
Вопрос был о сравнении. Какая цена вот того же самого топливного бензина в газолине и какая цена от биомассы на килограмм. Вот там приводит то, что речь идут масса из Макдональдса, правильно?
А?
Что масса из Макдональдса выявилась.
Ну, то есть там
Да.
различные отходы там из алкогольной, вот у них бурбон они производят алкогольные, там еще какие-то биомассы различные
So
используют.
that's what I'm going to talk about now. These are challenges what we have. So these are the challenges we have. So yeah. So whether this is what you are asking about, how economical that is, right?
Yeah.
That's your question. So that's a still we are studying this one. Also, how much market you have. When you make, can you sell it to some people? So if it is not, then it's not profitable for us. That's why we need to involve a lot of industry and entrepreneurs. So in the center. So then they can help us to commercialize and market the product. So also we need some technical expertise also. We have to work with some like paper industry people, so get some. So these are the things we just starting. So.
То есть вопрос конкуренции, будет ли это рынок, будет ли это выгодно просто по себестоимости, и будет ли это выгодно по технической продукции.
Yeah. Okay. So this is so some of the things we are already doing. Because this bioproducts coming from this C5 carbon 5 products. So not like you see these products carbon C5 sugars. So United States Department of Energy. So they are very interested in this C5 based sugar. So that's one of their best top candidates for chemical precursors. So the Department of Energy, they have solicitations, they call for grants. So they want to make these chemicals using based on C5 sugars. But that's because eventually what you want to do is use these byproducts and make some chemical products like some organic reagents or any chemicals based on, so you can convert it into different chemicals. So that's very interesting. That's why we are mostly working on C5 based chemical precursors. So what we are mostly doing, large grain processing industry. We are already started working on this corn, soy, rice and wheat. But this soy, rice, wheat, corn, they all, we are working on not very large quantities yet. Eventually we want to start in large quantities. These are still in the what we call the research and development stage. Right? So then we make this coming from like rice hull. They have a lot of the hemicellulose. Remember cellulose, then we have the hemicellulose, lignocellulose. So this high, high hulls, right? So each, like rice hull, if you take the rice grain, outside we have the rice hull. So they, even soy hull. So if you take the soy beans, so they have this outside hull. So once you extract the inside, you have the hull. So those are very rich in hemicellulose. So for example, look at these quantities: corn fibers, some softwood, and hardwood. These are mostly these large trees. So mostly you have cellulose, right? So like 40. So except for this one. So then you have hemicellulose. A lot of these are. I got explain what are these hemicellulose. Then we have quite a bit of lignin. So rest is ash. Is maybe some some metallic and quantity is very small amount. So, but if you consider corn fiber, so they have very small amount of lignin, but they have large amount of this hemicellulose. So, but softwood and hardwood, they have large amount of lignin. So commercializable source for corn fiber is dried distilled grains. So that's, I talked about this one in my first talk. So this is what they use for brew alcohol. Kentucky is a bourbon state, so they have a lot of distillery all around. So mostly they use this corn fiber for alcohol brewing. So then once they finish this dried distillery grains, so that's a waste product. So we just use that to do some of our research.
Это создание углеродных цифров, где проходит Министерство энергообеспечения Соединенных Штатов сказало, что они самые потенциально сильные, самые лучшие кандидаты в данной сфере, что они могут занять очень хорошие места в моем. Далее, что они делают, это достаточно
So the hemicellulose, so that's hemicellulose is the important thing, right? So they have a lot of these polysaccharides and also they are branch polymers. So this is the most important thing for us to get this C5 sugar. That's why we are interested in something that has more hemicellulose.
Мне только что показалось, что хемицеллюлоза очень богата различными материалами, сахарами, кислотами, которые мы могли бы использовать. Вот. Мы находим их в различных зернах, в соевых, рис, пшенице, и мы их используем. Как известно, Кентукки – это штат Бурбон, то есть они делают очень много алкоголя. Когда они после обработки, у них остается очень много этих, которые мы используем. Вот эти самые, когда мы не берем обрабатывать, у нас остается эта кожура, оказывается, содержит 39-40% хемицеллюлозы, что больше, чем их видов людей. И мы ее активно используем для наших исследований и исследований биомассы.
So that's why right now we are mostly working on these BDEs and based on corn fiber. So projects, so right now what we are doing is, so we extract C5 sugar from this hemicellulose, so mostly from xylose and araminose, so these are in the hemicellulose. So then also we extract biobutanol, so So then some other chemical intermediates like furans, chemistry people they know. So these are some of the things we are, the projects we have right now.
Первое — это у нас получение цепляет субтильности сахаров, сегодня создание белого фурана и фуран. Так это просто тоже?
Yeah. So production of C5 which, so first how you make this, what's called we make the hydrolysate. So the hydrolysate have very high yield of C5 sugars. So when you want to extract C5, first you have to hydrolyze it. So then the hydrolysate has the rich C5 sugars. That means they have very low C6. So we don't need the C6 in this product, right? If you have, that's kind of degrade your product. So if you have anything with 6 carbon rings, so that's not good. So we need to kind of reduce C6 based hydrolysate. So the extraction process involves dilution in acid, the hydrolysis in the dilute acid. So then how do you do that? We have to do different treatments by varying time and changing the temperature and changing this acid concentration, and also important what kind of reactor you are going to use, whether you have to use the horizontal reactor or vertical reactor, or so depending on what kind of process. So I don't know hydrolysate. So just you going for the hydrolysate. So the product coming from the hydrolysis, then there.
Как мы получаем процесс гидролиза, углерод, газ, углеродные вещества?
That's more C5.
Yeah, it's more C5. У нас придет большая выработка и достаточно хорошая концентрация этих сахаров. И достаточно маленькая сохранная структура углерода, потому что если нам нужна, нам нужна структура углерода. Как мы обрабатываем наши материалы? Мы включаем кислоту, и дальше мы изменяем температуру, концентрацию. Также мы можем изменять
So I'll show you about some of the conditions we use here, like we do times low as 30 minutes and as high as 1 minute. So temperatures in the range of 100 to 140. So sometimes we treat with acid, sometimes we don't. So here we don't use any acid. Hydrolysis, we don't have to use acid, right? So then we monitor C5 and C6 and see how we need to minimize C6 concentration, right? So that we do by gas chromatography all the time to make sure how much, and then we can calculate the heat. So next slide actually shows the process here.
Мы изменяем нашу условия реакции. При 60 минут каждый раз мы, естественно, можем вообще можем дальше мы смотрим, отслеживаем процесс, отслеживаем количество углеродного и 6 углеродного вещества и наши процессы растения. А дальше мы можем совершенно спокойно рассчитать нашу выработку, сколько мы будущего цикла.
So hydrolysis is basically putting water, right? You get the dry this grains, you have to make it wet. That's basically. So this one shows some of the processes. So this is the fiber as we receive. So then this is after acid treatments. You can see how the surface is changing. Residual fiber. So this is before and after acid treatment. So you can see surface is changing.
То есть слева мы видим обычный процесс кристаллизации, то есть кислоты просто добавляем. У нас одна структура. Когда мы добавляем кислоту, мы видим, что поверхность очень сильно изменилась. Это процесс.
So this is how after hydrolysis, if you look at under the electron microscope, how the structure is, you can see it's loose now. Right? So when you start, it's a very hard material, but after hydrolysis, it's become very more less bound. More, so it's easy to extract material from that one.
Все, поведение после гидролиза нашего материала. Если до обработки у нас была они достаточно хорошо связаны, то теперь мы видим, что они распадаются в surface energy.
So this is actually I showed this one. So after that one, the fiber we carbonize it. So this is actually I'm doing mostly this research. After the bright products, we just take this one and heat it under flowing nitrogen. So then we activate. So we treat with potassium hydroxide. So that will open up a lot of these nice inside pore structures. So this one have the surface area of about close to 2000 meters squared per gram. That's a very large surface area. This is almost the size of a football stadium. So if I take 1 gram of this material, that has surface area of 2000 almost meters squared. So that's why they are very good for storing gases. And also separation. You can separate gases because you have different pore sizes. So if you have two molecules, they have different sizes. So you can trap some large molecule and let the smaller molecule pass through. It's like selective absorption. So then also I talk about how we can use this one for supercapacitors and energy storage materials. That we already talked about the last these activated carbon fibers.
После обработки, если у нас было очень пористую структуру, площадь которой 2000 метров квадратных на грамм, то есть это более сложно всего с граммом. И объем наших пор от 94 кубических сантиметров на грамм. Для чего это используется? Мы можем из этой большой достаточно площади хранить там газы. Мы можем отсеивать газовые группы, то есть слишком большие молекулы у нас не пройдут через эти поры, а слишком достаточно маленькие пройдут способны. Таким образом мы можем отсеивать газовые группы. Ну и на первой лекции Гамини рассказал о том, как мы используем для суперконденсаторов, для энергии и
So actually this one actually summarize what we talk about now. So here, like I said, this is how the dry grains, right? This is why we start. So we treat it. So then we do this selective hydrolysis. So this is the hydrolysis I talk about. So this one we can make to use your chemicals. So then the residual fiber, so that the one I use it to carbonize and make the carbon fibers. So everything is not wasted. So from here we go to make this one. So hydrolysis C5. From there you can make chemicals, right? So this one 2. So the residual fiber, they have energy rich feed. That's why we can make the carbon fibers and things like that. So even one, this still has a lot of protein. So we can even use some other feeding applications. Residual means waste. So when you take the important thing, what is left? Rest.
Эта схема показывает очень четко то, о чем мы говорили сегодня всю лекцию. Мы берем наши материалы, потом
so the pre-treatment can be the hydrolysis, the acid treatment, heating, all these.
Мы можем весь печень, мы можем внутрь кислоты, мы можем просто провести гидролиз. После этого мы получаем, если мы с гидролизом получаем вот такую смесь, после непосредственно у нас появляется продукция обработки, которая также достаточно богата углеродом, мы можем использовать для создания наших фибр, соединенных, или мы можем использовать для
yeah, so feed, yeah, even like fibers and all. Right. Right, it's a loop. Okay, so here you can see what usually we make. So this is the hemicellulose. Right? So from hydroxide we can make cyclopentadiene. So that's a C5 rich material. From that you can make some other. So this is one of the I think important chemical. So that directly coming from your hydroxide. Then so also another. So these both are the compound of your hemicellulose, right? So that will give you hydroxide. So from hydroxide you make the C5 rich, the chemical. So there are a lot of other C5 sugar compounds we can make this way.
После загидролиза мы получаем следующую смесь, которую мы можем получить достаточно богатую углеродистую сохранение. Смесь можно получить организм, можно получить ксилоз.
Go to the second part now. So it's too much details for the bioproduct. So you get the idea. So start from the bio feedstock, we make hydrolysate to make C5 rich compound. So from there you make important chemicals. So now second part I'm going to talk about some material research. So mostly I'm going to talk about what important instruments we use in our center to do this material characterization. So if you guys go from here. So this is one of the most popular instruments. This is the scanning. So this is the transmission electron microscope. So this is actually very expensive, like $2 million instrument. So I'll show some of the things we have done with this instrument. You can look at materials in atomic resolution. So you can see the atomic planes and everything using this instrument. Also it has energy electron diffraction capabilities, then some elemental mapping capabilities. So then we have a couple of scanning electron microscopes. So this one and this one. So they are not as high resolution as TEM. So they both are scanning electron microscopes. Then we have this X-ray diffraction capability to look at the crystal structure. Then Raman and photoluminescence, you can look at the vibrational modes and electronic states. So then we have some other like particle analyzers and diffraction, differential scanning, calorimeters and what is called thermogravimetry analyzers and all these. These are very largely used in the material characterization fashion. Here, these are some of these electron microscope that has this transmission electron microscope with electron diffraction. This means energy, electron energy loss spectroscopy. This is X-ray dispersive spectroscopy. So they can do the imaging, mapping, chemistry. So this is the this is the XRD. So particle size distribution, you can look at the size of nanomaterials and look at the zeta potential, that is this one here. So a lot of PET analysis, so that actually is here. So that is to look at the pore volume and pore distribution and things like that. So there are some other things I'm not going to talk about. So this is the surface analysis that this is the. This one you can look at the surface properties like your what is called the X-ray photo emission, ultraviolet photo emission. So that will give you a lot of information about the surfaces. So I'll show some of the results we have on these energy materials.
Это у нас микроскоп с контролем его, который позволяет нам смотреть с разрешением до атомной структуры. Также есть электронную дифракцию. Вот это тоже у нас два микроскопа, но они есть в конечно, решение как раз здесь у нас можно встретить параметры и посмотреть новые вещи. Здесь мы смотрим состав.
So this is X-ray diffraction. So the second one. X-ray diffraction. That is so this is this one here. Yeah, don't. This is the first one. That's the most important thing. Let's talk about this one. So you can see what you can. So this is the XRD. So these are the. So this is the transmission electron microscope. You can see features as small as 1 angstrom. This is 0.19. So this is almost 2 angstroms. Here, so this is a good example what you can see. If you take some of these, actually this is 1 nanowire. So I can see, can you see these are atomic planes here. So you can see very clearly atomic plane. You can see like a crystal defect here. So it has what's called the twinning. So this part has a one crystal direction and this part has a different crystal direction. That means we have a crystal defect here. But still you can see the atomic plane, so how nicely they are arranged. So this has a, so you can see this error, the bar is 2 nanometers. So you can see in atomic resolution. So you can really see the atomic planes in this one. So by measuring the separation between the 2 atomic planes, you can tell what kind of structure. You can see this is how the real atom arranged in this structure. So you can see how nicely they are arranged. So you can get all the information. So then if you can do the electron diffraction, you can see this nice diffraction pattern. So this means this is a highly single crystal. Okay? So this one single crystal plane. But if I do diffraction at this point, you will see different pattern because we have 2 different diffraction directions, right? But if you do on one of these, you get single diffraction pattern. You can do very important information with this one. Crystal structure, what kind of crystal structure, orientation, whether it is this direction or what a different direction, growth direction, defects. You can say sometimes they look like a very nice nano wire, but if you look carefully, they are not that nice. They have crystal defects. So you can look at the interface. So interfaces are very important because that determines most of the properties. So this is very important instrument to get the high-resolution transmission electron microscope.
Здесь мы видим примеры тем, которые получали на том самом уроке истории в Луисвилле. Как мы видим, совершенно несколько моментов. Мы можем видеть с точностью до атома структуру кристалла. То есть здесь мы можем видеть эффект кристалла, если мы смотрим на одну сторону, дальше мы смотрим на другую сторону. Также мы можем по расстоянию между атомами понять структуру связи между атомами, что тоже немаловажно. Другие свойства также можем видеть способны путина и проблемы, потому что это кристаллы. Вот те свойства, которые мы можем с помощью физической структуры, ориентации, управления ростом, структурный дефект, поверхность.
Facet means you have two planes coming together. So you can even look at the facet interface. Yes. So you can see even like this is zinc oxide nanowire. So that means you have zinc atom and oxygen atom. Right? So you can even identify which one is which. So then this is another like nanoparticles. So this is if you look at like cadmium cell and nanoparticles, you can see actually it's a hexagonal shaped particle. So if you look carefully, this has hexagonal shape like this. So but the particle itself has very nice crystalline structure. You can see here, if you look in low resolution, so these are the particles. But if you come and do very close high resolution, you can get even atomic resolution. But there's another technique called STEM, so that also can give you some contrast. So then we can do the particle size analysis. For each particle we can look at what kind of distribution is here. So this one has narrow distribution. This one has kind of broad. You can see this particle is much bigger than this one. It's a broad distribution. But here these are very narrow distribution.
Мощный микроскоп может изучить даже отдельные наночастицы наших фото. У них идется вещество, структура, состояние вещества. Также может представить изменение размеров наших частиц. Если, например, на первом веществе у нас делают достаточно широкое распределение, то на втором веществе у нас очень узкое распределение, и можно увидеть свойства этого вещества.
Some other things we have this hetero nanowires, like we have indium gallium nitride. So then you will get this two diffraction patterns. Can you see like so just two dots here, right? So that means we have two different crystalline one corresponding to this one and this one. So okay, you can previously you had this one dot, right? That means it's one single crystal. Now you have two phases. You get even that you can tell from this diffraction pattern. That's very important. Then also we can do some this is called selective radio electron diffraction. So you can even identify which one is which looking at different factors. So that's not very important. So we can see some crystal influence here. We have different dots. That's not very important. Yeah. This is important to show, like you can identify two different phases here. So this is the energy dispersive X-ray spectrum from that also. So here what we do is basically you shine electron, so that will remove this co-electron. So then the low energy, the high energy electrons will fall into that vacant state, and it removes the emits the energy related to that difference energy, right? So that can tell you what kind of atom is here. So basically, so first when you have the atom, so this is your nucleus. So then you have co-electrons. So then you have the valence electrons, right? So when you shine electron, so it will remove the co-electron. So then these high energy electrons will fall into this empty electron, so that will remove your radiation. So that from that you can tell what kind of atom is there. So that's the X-ray energy dispersive spectrum. So from that you can tell whether it's oxygen or it's titanium. You can immediately tell what kind of element is there.
Другой способ определения атома, который используют в микроскопе, это обучение сверхъестественных волн. Дальше далее мы рассуждаем атом, электрон, когда он падает на поверхность и возвращается в нормальное состояние, он спускает поток электрической волны по этому фотону определяет какое вещество.
So also we can do the EDAX mapping. So if you look at this peak, if you do many scans on that area, you can map it. So when you do the mapping, you can tell these colors very nicely. So if you do on this one, so you do the EDAX mapping, so then you can get like this one has indium in red color, you have nitrogen in blue color, like that. If you look here, you can see like this much gallium, this is the amount of indium, this is the amount of nitrogen. You can see each color will tell you how much you have in the it's called the EDAX mapping.
То есть мы можем различить различные вещества по цвету. Например, которые спускаются электроны с полиэтиленом на состояние возбуждения. Мы можем составить карту с тех волн, которые спускает вещество, и различать различные вещества. То есть, например, соответственно, для окна, это у нас матери, это
So here it's very nice, like gallium mostly here is at the center, right? You can see not much gallium outside. Most of the gallium is in the center. But here, indium and nitrogen are all around less in the middle, because middle mostly you have gallium. That also you can tell from the
очень интересно, что вы говорили, в основном мы середину, но вот тоже есть метод разного правила, потому что увидимо, что слышите, а вот видите азот, они находятся в области.
Okay, now next thing, quickly go on. So we try to make new materials using high pressure. So that's the one way to, let me quickly go over this. So high pressure material synthesis is very important because we know a lot of material are made underground. So under high pressure and high temperature, right? So that's why we find diamond. You can find diamond underground, right? If you go to like South Africa, a lot of diamond, right? So they were all made where? Underground. So because they were subjected to very high pressure and very high temperatures. So that means if I can make material under high pressure and high temperature, we can make a lot of materials you cannot make otherwise. So you can see, like if you look at the pressure, so typically in space we have very almost no pressure, right? It's a space. But if you go to Earth, you get almost 10 to the power 6 atom inside the Earth. Our laboratory vacuum, if you make something under vacuum, they have a small pressure. If you go to neutron star, so they are very high pressure. But since we cannot have very high pressure in your lab, we have to somehow devise way to make some high pressure materials in the lab. So how can you make this kind of pressure? So we know how to make like few atmosphere kind of pressure, but if you want to get this kind of pressure, you have to make some special kind of device. So that's what I'm going to quickly talk about what we can do with that.
Третья следующая часть сегодняшней лекции о том, как мы создают новые материалы, используя высокие энергии. Как мы знаем, многие вещества, которые есть сегодня, получается, при высоких давлениях, высоких температурах и химической активности он закрывается. Если мы хотим эти материалы искусственно, нам, соответственно, нужны такие же условия при их создании. Если в космосе физически нет, то нам нужны какие-то области давления, которые мы будем использовать. То есть у нас относительно 16 и относительно мы знаем, как легко сделать 2-3 несколько атмосфер. Но если мы хотим добиться давления как в центре Земли или несколько, нам нужны специальные условия, чтобы его достичь.
Yeah, so actually this way we can make diamond in the lab. So how do you get this kind of, actually, typically if you consider carbon phase diagram, we are familiar with temperature versus pressure. So at very high temperature and high pressure you can make diamond. So, but low pressure and low temperature you have graphite, but they all are made inside the Earth. So that means by changing your pressure and temperature you can really work. Even same carbon, you can make different kind of compositions. So this is a sp2 carbon, this is sp3 carbon. So then also if you go further, so this is typical phase diagram for any other things, right? So if you take water, you have triple point, you have vapor, you have solid, and you have liquid. So this is, then you have a critical point, supercritical, gases, phases. But in carbon is completely different. So I'm going to mostly talk about how you can make some other materials under high pressure and high temperature. Quickly go over this one here.
Новый материал можно получить под действием давления, это изготовление искусственных алмазов. Из обычного графита под высоким давлением и на высокой температуре получаем алмаз.
we are using this diamond and wheel. So you can have your material between these two diamonds. That's a little expensive because we have this diamond. So you put your material here, so then this is the housing for the diamond. So once you put them inside, you can really tighten it until you can get very high pressure in this region. So actually you can reach something like 100 gigapascal using this diamond and wheel. You have one anvil like this, then you just put them together and put your material here. So then just tighten it. So this way, you have to just tighten it. So by doing that, you can create pressure of almost 100 gigapascal. This means 10 to the power 9. That's right, 100. So that's a very huge pressure. Under this pressure, you can make new phases of material. So also, if you want, you can heat the system. We can put this one in oven and heat too. At the moment, we are working not very high temperature, like 1000 C. We can heat. Actually, what we did was we made these new materials. So we were trying to see if I can make different phases. I start with gallium oxide, I start with silver oxide, then put together and heat it. So then under high pressure temperature, we see what kind of material we can make using this one. Incidentally, we find if you do the analysis, what we make is silver gallium oxide. So this compound coming from this, so that supported by this Raman spectroscopy, so, and also X-ray diffraction shows this compound corresponding to alpha silver gallium oxide. So now we are going to try different compounds. So not anything like A2O and B2O. So here A is gallium, here B is silver. Right? So we are going to do like a library of materials, changing these two materials. So I can go to indium or gold or maybe phosphorus and copper. So we can make a library of material. That's the material informatics. So that's some research we are doing. So this way we can screen a lot of material library. So most important material we are trying to make is this one. So that you cannot make in any other ways like gallium, indium, right? this is very difficult to make in other ways, but we can use like gallium nitride and indium nitride together and do this diamond and this one and high pressure. Hopefully we can make that compound. So this is very important for the solar fuel. So whole idea is if I shine this material in water, if I have this material, so I can shine light, so you can produce hydrogen, because water will be split into hydrogen and oxygen under this catalysis. That's some interest for making gallium indium nitride.
Материал, который мне интересно сделать, это гарри, никель и азот. Он очень интересен для солнечных исследований. Можно привести гарри, азот и никель, азот, энергии нагревания, и получить этот материал. Почему он интересен? Потому что если вы поместите воду и не попускаете очень сильно, то вода скорее на дров.
So these are some of the compounds we are studying right now. So like I said, this A, B, C kind of different compounds. So these are the ones we are right now looking at. You can see the, okay, so from that I just so we have another facility to do this roll manufacturing. So we can make this flexible materials or polymers, so that you can bend it to whatever you want. So to do that, you should be able to do what is called roll manufacturing. Right? You start from some of your plastic here, so it goes to the other end, unwind during the process. You have to go through all these processes. So that we use for battery electrodes, solar cells, some other electronics. That's the large scale production line. Because you cannot make individual device. You have to start from one end. Your roller is coming this way. So when it goes through, you have all these processes. It goes through here, you coat your material, then you shine with your plasma and all these other things happen. So when it comes to the other end, it's all done. So go from, we call the roll to roll. That means it's a very continuous process. We already have that facility here. You can see some of the rolls here. Okay.
Закон управления сферой, который вы проводите, они делают материал и все предметы, которые может выполнить. Как они это делают? То есть полимер между двумя тканями двигается по конвейеру, здесь он двигается материал, затем его выкладывается в базу, затем, как я сказал, еще ничего происходит, и у нас появляется наша гибкий рабочий материал, который мы можем использовать.
Okay, I will stop right here, so I can take any questions from you.
Лекция закончена, тем не менее, будут рады видеть все ваши вопросы.
This is very general background. I want to tell you what kind of facilities we have and what we are doing. Yeah, any questions?
Professor, right now we apply. This is this is chips. I don't know.
Yeah. So this is very cheap and easy way to do. So only thing is you have to figure out the material. So you need to know the material and what kind of processes you need. So then it's a very easy because you have all these. Suppose if I want some deposition, so I have my material, so it just spraying. So then the roll is coming, spray onto this one, comes here, you can use a plasma, So then at the end it's all done. This is the only way to do economical and large production of materials.
Возможно, как мы можем критически применить технологию, я не говорю, что это достаточно легко и дешево. Просто какой материал использовать для этого производства. Пока они ищут сами.
If you go to any like solar cell manufacturing company, like First Solar, this is how they do it. Any LED, light LED diode production. You cannot make it on strong substrate. You cannot bend it. It's
Only
very
strong.
difficult. Yeah. So if it is a plastic, it's very easy. You can do this roll and also you can use it very nicely. That's why everybody is going for flexible substrates now.
Now we are using glass.
No.
No?
So one thing is, remember, if you use glass, you have to use what is called the ITO or FTO. This is indium tin oxide or fluorinated tin oxide. They are the conductors. But it's not very easy to put ITO on plastic. That's one problem. But people do that. That's why a lot of interest whether you can put graphene onto this material. So people have tried that material. That's very conducting. So a lot of research going on that one.
Очень интересно, кто делает гибкие срочные батареи. Просто в том, что обычно наносит стекло инди, олово,
Indium tin oxide.
или в олово, стекло. И дальше у нас идет минус. Но эти вещества очень сложно внести на пластик. И вот сейчас некоторые эксперты вносят фен, о том, что они хорошо вещи получить результаты, они тоже работают над этой темой.
Another question, sir? Okay then. Thank you for your attention.